What is going on, everybody? We are just getting out of work, and if you can't already tell with the brown interior, we are in the BMW. It is Thursday today. Happy Thursday, almost Friday, even though I work Saturday, so just another day of the week. Oh, I really hate this little exit, especially with the BMW not having first gear. It's like so tricky to try to make it out of here. I mean, for those of you guys that don't know, the BMW currently doesn't have, where it has first gear, it'll pop out if it's not engaging. So it's just very uncomfortable to drive, which is why I don't really drive this car, but I'm driving it today, which I'll get into it all. Today's video is going to be more of a little bit of a chat and drive. That's kind of how the past couple of videos have been. Alrighty, wait. Oh, freak, bro. Yeah, we're just gonna go ahead and put some gas real quick, and I'll get back to you guys. I hope I have enough storage on the phone to just be recording for the next bit of a drive. Very impromptu video for today. I don't want to make it seem like I've been lazy all week and I haven't been working on the cars, so that's why I don't have like anything substantial to film today. But it's just been a very busy week. We've had some car troubles in the household. I've had to let my mom borrow my truck, and well, I've had no other choice but to drive the BMW and just thug it out for the week, or until, you know, we figure out her BMW situation. So that's why I'm driving this car. As stressful as it is, it's still you know, very fun to be back in like a 6-speed car. I've enjoyed that part. The actual driving, it's a bit stressful not having first gear. The video that I was trying to work on for this week was gonna be a truck video, but since my mom has the car, I haven't had time to just work on it since she needs it. Might as well work on another video that I've been wanting to make, and that's is the BMW 328i fun or does it suck? And that's gonna be kind of the topic for today's video. The tags also are expired on the BMW, so I'm kind of worried that a cop might like pull up on us. So I'm trying to get to the little location so I could finish out the video there, but drive is still kind of nervous. Also, I'm kind of initiating the roll in second gear and just using that as my first gear, which it might be a little bit, could be bad on the clutch. It's not like I'm initiating a drift, how they do in FD, where they start in second gear for whatever reason. I'm just trying to roll into it as smooth as I can and then just not have to worry about first gear. I guess we can go ahead and start on our topic. Is the BMW 328i a fun car to drive? Now, I kind of wanted to wait until I was driving the car on the daily. I've never got to that point because the car was pretty much just always sitting at the house until this week, which I guess in a way could be a blessing in disguise. My mom's car breaking down, I could actually give this car a chance without having an excuse to not drive it. Right off the bat, I'm gonna say this: the car honestly is really fun to drive. If first gear wasn't a problem, I probably would have put this car under my name, paid the tags, and I probably would have dailied it like the original plan was, because honestly the car is pretty fun to drive. The BMW 328i, I feel like it's the perfect daily car for someone that wants like a fun, somewhat enthusiast type of vehicle that they could just pretty much get in a 6-speed inline 6 that has, you know, plenty of power, and you're not running into problems of like a turbo or a supercharger. You know, it's a naturally aspirated engine, so it is somewhat reliable. Well, I think it's the more reliable engine out of M54, S65, where the other engines that came in the E92 generation. It's a reliable car that could be dailied by whoever. Power wise, I feel like it has enough power to have fun with it. Obviously, you're probably not going to be winning races left and right. I mean, you'll probably beat like a freaking Corolla or like a Kia Sportage or something, but going uphill, it's like a problem trying to initiate on second gear. But once you get it, the car has enough power to just roll off and just leave the car in the back. I mean, even in third gear, like the car just has like oh frick, y'all went flying. I'm telling you, bro, this car has power. Y'all don't listen. The E92 just in general is just like a fun car to drive. That kind of brings me to like the main like idea behind this video, is that I really do like this car, and I can only imagine what the M3 is probably like. Come on, sir. Oh, there's like tents here. What the heck is going on? I guess I can't come here then. What the frick, bro? They have like a, what is that, farm? Oh, they have a farmer's market. All right, well, I guess we gotta go find another spot. I feel like if you haven't tried driving an E92, it won't be a bad idea to start with the 328i. Because I know that, like, even me, I have thoughts where before I had the E92, I probably would have never bat an eye at a 328i and was like, oh, I would like to own that car. It just, that thought never crossed my mind. It was always like, oh, I would love to have a 335i, or obviously I would love to own the M3. But when this car, obviously my cousin was selling it, or well, not selling it, but it was just sitting, and I kind of brought up the idea of possibly buying it. There was a purpose behind it. And now that I've driven the car and I felt what it's like to own this car and drive it around, I would probably want to own another 328i. If like another one pops up that is a good deal and it's like in better condition than this car, I would 100% go for that. It's now a car that I would want to own in the future, and not just want to stick to the M3 or the 335i's. On the sound department, the car honestly sounds pretty cool. Like, for it to be just well, it's still an inline six, but like you kind of just expect it to just be boring, quiet. Now the car isn't loud or anything like that, but whenever you're driving the car around and you hear the exhaust sound, it sounds pretty sweet. And then you get like little pops and burbles, which might just be like a natural BMW type of thing. I don't know if this car is like tuned in any way, or if it has like an exhaust or a different exhaust, but it looked like a stock BMW exhaust to me. I don't know if it captured it on camera. In person, like whenever you're driving around or the RPMs are kind of high and you kind of let go of it, it does a little brr. It sounds pretty sweet, which is another thing that adds a cool factor to the BMW 328i. Now, I don't know if they all do that, but this one does. And it's kind of a cool little thing that I enjoy while driving the car around. This one, I don't really know exactly because I haven't owned an M3 and I technically don't own this 328i. But I'm assuming when you own a BMW 328i, it's more of a pedestrian type of vehicle, a normal vehicle. I'm assuming on insurance and stuff like that, it might be a little bit cheaper to own compared to like a 335i or an M3 that are more known as like a sports car. I could be wrong, and it just makes sense that that's kind of how the car would be when it comes to insurance and stuff like that. Like in a money type of way, these cars are also a lot cheaper to buy. Honestly, you could get a lot of value out of them, especially if it's a good vehicle. Some people probably don't really care about a 328i. They'll probably sell this car for like 3, 4, or 5 grand compared to like the 335s that they might be selling for like 8 to like 10 grand, or the M3s that they could be selling for like 20 grand and stuff like that. You could get into an E92 and get a very good daily driver vehicle without having to pay a bunch of money up front for the actual car, and without having to pay a lot in insurance, which don't quote me on that. My common sense is that it's what it's telling me, but just because it might be a BMW and a coupe, they might still consider it a sports car, but I don't know. Also, the 328i, like, you might be thinking of it as like a budget car to own. Parts for these cars are pretty expensive, and before I even bought this car, I thought it was going to be a lot cheaper because I was like, oh, it's a freaking 328i. Parts are probably cheaper compared to the 335s or the M3s, but the 328i has the exact same body style as the 335i. The 335 pretty much just comes with the M54 engine, twin turboed, and I believe, I forgot the exact transmission name, but it's pretty much a stronger transmission than the one that comes in this one, which I believe is a Getrag. It's like the exact same car as a 335, more dailyable, more reliable. Enough yapping, let's go ahead and start heading home while I finish my final points on the 328i. Just such a fun car to drive, just like the way it drives. It might also just be because it's like lowered, it might have a little bit more of a lower center of gravity so that it just feels a bit better steering wise, but the car just feels fun to drive. Like enough power to just get up and go whenever you want. That might just be like the inline six, just a bigger engine. It just has more power behind it. Those are pretty much all my little thoughts on the BMW 328i. Honestly, I feel like it's a great first car for anyone that wants to get into like an enthusiast style type of vehicle. Now, obviously, it's not the 335i, it's not the freaking M3, but it's still a very good car. I kind of touched on it previously where I was saying that, like, obviously, like, before I wanted the M3, I wanted the 335i. I would probably never have thought about owning a 328i. But now that I kind of got my taste into the E92, the M3 was never really a car that I was like, oh, for sure, it's on the bucket list. I need it. I need to own that car. It really wasn't. I really just liked the body style, and I heard a lot about the M3 not having a lot of power, or it was just like it was just lackluster when it came to the power that the car brought. For it to have like a V8 being like what it is, like the aura that the car has, to me it was just all style. Like, that's just all that it was. And I was like, I'd prefer to just own the 335i and have a cheaper car that had a lot more power or tuning capabilities. But I feel over the past year, even though like maybe my career in cars hasn't been like as extensive or as like in depth, because I feel like a lot of the cars that I have on the channel, I haven't finished or like really experienced a lot of cars. My taste kind of has been changing. And my girl would be telling me like that she's worried about that, because then she's like, when are you gonna change me out? You know, like, when are you gonna change my, like, me? Because my taste is changing. But when it comes to cars, I feel like I'm not big into wanting to go fast all the time. Like, don't get me wrong, I love to make a couple pulls here and there, but I really do just like enjoying the car, just driving it around, you know, taking it to work, getting off the car, looking back at the car and being like, damn, that's my car. You know, I get a lot more out of it, just that. Because I mean, you could do a couple pulls here and there, but then, like, you know, that's it. You get used to that. But I feel like when you get out of your car and you see like the car that you're driving, it just feels good. See, I get a pulse here right here. So to me, I feel like power is becoming a lot less of a thing that I want or a desire from a car. It's more so like, how do I feel in the car? And ever since I've owned this car, I'm not even gonna lie, I've loved it. I feel like every time I'm in here, it just feels nice. The sitting position feels cool. Like, everything feels nice. And funny thing, on the F80 and the F82s, I've tried the 6-speed and I wasn't a fan of it. I'm not a big fan of it. So whenever I decide to get, you know, the M4 being one of my dream cars, I want to get it in a DCT transmission, just because I wasn't really a big of fan of the shifter, or like how it felt. And driving this car, I don't know if it feels the same. I'm probably gonna have to try my cousin's car out just so I can see like how it feels shifter wise. But this car is like pretty fun to shift. Back to what I was saying, when it comes to this, the feeling of it just feels cool. I like it. This car, with the power that it has, I've enjoyed driving the car. So I can only imagine how much more fun I'm gonna have in the M3, because I think the M3 has like 3 something horsepower, like 380 something horsepower, and like 290 torque or something like that. Which, yeah, it might not be like the greatest numbers coming out of a V8, but compared to a 328i, this car probably makes like maybe 200 horsepower. But I can only imagine how much more fun that car is gonna be, and just the body style of it, like the hips in the rear, the front fenders, the styling of the bumper, the sounds, which, if I like the way this car sounds, I can only imagine how much more I'm gonna like the M3's V8. So it's really got me to like the point where I'm like, all right, 328i is great as like an entry car, and I feel like I want the M3 just to experience it. But I probably would never shy away from another 328i. And if another one pops out in the future, that seems like a good option to just, you know, pick up for a sweet deal, get to drive it around for a bit, and then, you know, just sell it again. I probably would do that again, just because of how much fun I have driving this car. That's it. I'm gonna get home and we'll finish off today's video. I just got done editing the video, and honestly, if you made it to this point, I really appreciate you, because I was just yapping the whole time, hella glazing the E92. It really is just how I feel about the car. I pretty much just want to express to others that maybe are probably kind of where I was maybe a year ago, where I would just want like the best of every car, and I would probably not pay attention to any of like the entry level cars as like them being a good option to just daily drive, like this 328i. So for any of you guys that are out there that maybe are probably a lot younger in your life, and you know, you probably do want like the E92 M3 or stuff like that, if you don't have the money for it, why not start out with a 328i? Get to enjoy the car, driving it as you save up money. You know, you could have a cool car on your way there, which is kind of what I'm trying to express through this video, which I know towards the end I was just kind of glazing up the E92 and how that I would love to get the M3 after the 328i. But I'm more so trying to explain that like as in like the M3 was just never a car that I actually was dreaming about owning one day. But after owning the 328i and actually liking it, it actually made me want to be considering an M3 in the future, if that makes sense. Like it just being that great of a car. That's it, enough rambling. I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. If you did make it to this point in the video, I appreciate you. Drop a like for a boy. Hopefully next week I'm a lot less busy so that I could actually work on some cars, because it's almost the end of the year and I haven't finished anything, well, except for the BMW. So I guess one project is done. But I'll see you guys in the next one. God bless. Echale Ganitas.